Hello, what is up, my Form 4? Okay, hope everybody is doing well. Okay, hope everybody is not getting insane. Okay, I am on the verge of going insane. Okay, for staying too long at home. Okay, alright. So let's continue this week. Okay, last week we talked about aerobic respiration, okay, which means respiration with oxygen. You are breathing normally. Okay, you create 38 ATP. Remember, you do something called glycolysis, and then you will do something called Krebs cycle, which is not your concern. Okay, so this week we are going to talk about anaerobic respiration. Okay, what does it mean by anaerobic? Okay, aerobic means with oxygen, and means without. Okay, anaerobic respiration, which means no oxygen. Okay, so or there's another name for it, we call it fermentation. Okay, you might say, huh, sir, I thought fermentation is to make beer. Yes, it is. Okay, in fact, fermentation has two. Okay, for us humans, when we do fermentation, we create something called lactic acid. We will go into that. Okay, and then for yeast, they will create something called alcohol. Okay, different. You can't create alcohol. If you run for very long, you don't get enough oxygen, your muscle gets alcohol. Wow, why do we need to buy alcohol then? Okay, no, it doesn't happen this way. In fact, you will create lactic acid. This lactic acid is what makes your muscles sore. Okay, let's say you go to the gym today, you train your ass off, and then next day you wake up, you couldn't even wipe your back with your towel. Why? Because your muscles are so sore because of this lactic acid. Okay, so let's talk about this. Let's go into this first. Okay, so what is anaerobic respiration? Okay, this is a small title here. It's not mentioned here. I want you to write down. Okay, anaerobic respiration. What is it? It is the incomplete breakdown of glucose in the absence of oxygen. Can you see the key point here? Absence of oxygen. With oxygen, I can fully oxidize glucose. I can get all full 38 ATP or 2898 kilojoule. That's a lot of energy. Okay. For anaerobic, it's only a teeny tiny bit compared to aerobic. Okay, how tiny? Okay, instead of 38, okay, we are now only getting 2, which is from glycolysis. Okay, because glycolysis, you don't need oxygen. You are not going into the mitochondria. You don't need oxygen. Okay, so we're only getting it from that. Okay, the other 36, we cannot enter mitochondria. Remember, mitochondria is like a club. Oxygen is like the access pass. So no access pass means no entry. You cannot go into the mitochondria. Mitochondria will not allow you in. If there's no fuel in, you are not burning energy. You are not getting energy. Okay, so lactic acid fermentation. Okay, so here's the thing I want to talk about. Okay, so last week I talked about something called oxygen debt. Okay, it's already highlighted for you. Okay, so okay, you might ask, why do we do anaerobic? Since it's so inefficient, since it creates so little energy, makes you pain. Lactic acid makes you pain. Okay, you get muscle cramp. Let's say you run a marathon for 20 kilometers, you can't. Okay, if you don't run, I mean, if you run every day, then fine, it's good for you. Okay, it's not easy for you, not easy, it still takes a bit of effort. But if you're a couch potato, you don't exercise, okay, the longest distance you run is from your living room to your fridge. Okay, that is not running. You are not fit. If I will ask you to run, okay, maybe not 20, even 5 kilometers, you are half and buff, you're going to die. Okay, so why do we still do anaerobic? This is like an emergency source of energy. Okay, some sort like an emergency. Okay, so I at least get 2, better than nothing, okay, rather than 0, okay, because you may die. Okay, so this is like an emergency. Okay, so this happens during vigorous activity. Okay, during vigorous activity, let's say now you sprint for 500 meters, you're being chased by a dog. Okay, you are not capable of doing fully aerobic because you're not fit. So your body will do something what's called the emergency, and we call it oxygen debt. Okay, we owe to the we owe the glucose. So we say, hey, I use a bit of your energy first. If I got oxygen, I return to you back. Something like borrow money lah. Okay, we borrow a bit of energy first without oxygen. Later we pay back. Okay, so during vigorous activities, oxygen supply to muscle cells is low. Okay, there's not enough oxygen. So who to blame? You gotta blame your lungs and your heart. That's why we call it cardiovascular health. If you are super fit, okay, you can do triathlon, okay, you cycle 5 kilometers to school every day, okay, wow, you know what, that's very good for you. Your heart and lungs are in great shape, okay. Imagine football players, they can run 1.5 hours. I don't think you can run 20. Sprinting, not, hey, taking your own sweet time, jog like that. No, sprint. Run to your heart's content like you are being chased by Along with a parang behind. Yeah, go and try. Okay, so here we create something called oxygen debt. Okay, oxygen debt occurs in muscle cells. Why? Okay, what is oxygen debt? You need to know this. Oxygen debt is the total amount of oxygen needed to remove lactic acid from the muscle. Okay, lactic acid is like an IOU form. You know it's IOU? Okay, now let's say I borrow $5 from you. I take a paper, I write I owe you, means I owe you, and I give you. Okay, later when you have money, you come to me with this paper, I'll pay you the money back. Okay, so this lactic acid is like the I owe you paper. Okay, I owe you first, later you can come and reclaim the oxygen back. Oxygen is the money. Okay, so of course there's only so much lactic acid you can handle. It's not like unlimited before you need to stop. Okay, so muscle cells carried out aerobic respiration. Okay, so this is what creates the oxygen debt. So glucose is broken down into lactic acid and little energy. You can see 2 ATP. Instead of close to 3000 kilojoule, we are getting 150. That's like 20 times less. Okay, so when your body starts doing anaerobic, your body is not efficient anymore. You need to stop soon. If not, you will suffer pain. Okay, the lactic acid is going to make you so painful that you can't run anymore. Okay, so accumulation of lactic acid causes muscle cramp and fatigue. Okay, so like I said just now lah. Okay, so I wish to say that it's not like your body does aerobic, then poop, suddenly anaerobic. No, it will slowly, aerobic will slowly go down and aerobic will slowly climb up. Okay, I'll show you this graph. Okay, can you see? The pink color stands for aerobic, okay, because it says no lactate. Lactate is lactic acid. Can you see it goes down? The more you exercise, can you see the exercise intensity? The harder you exercise, less the aerobic is going down, and then the lactate production, the blue one, the lactic acid production is climbing up. Okay, so when you train yourself to become fit, you are not making this impossible. You're not stopping this at all. Lactic acid will produce no matter what. You are just delaying the process. Okay, what separates you from a marathon runner? You start producing lactic acid maybe 5 minutes in. A marathon runner, 60 minutes only they start. Means for the first 60 minutes they are doing aerobic. Wow, brilliant, isn't it? 5 minutes you're like, I'm gonna die soon. Okay, because the only thing you run is in your dreams or from your living room to your fridge back to your couch. Bad. Okay, so exercise. Okay, go and run. Okay, not now. Okay, so go and run. Okay, so muscle cramp and fatigue. Okay, so this lactic acid is gonna accumulate in your muscles and sometimes in your abdomen. Okay, that's why I'm not sure your school has Marantas Day, sir. Okay, if you're not the running type like I wasn't the running, I just walk. Okay, I tried. Okay, when you run for 5 minutes, then your abdomen here starts feeling painful. Okay, until you have to stop. Why? Because there's too much of lactic acid, too much of IOU. Okay, let's say you owe the bank $5,000. Okay, but you owe the bank 5 million. The bank is gonna say, you know what? Stop. I'm not gonna borrow you any money. You're gonna start paying me back before I lend you any money. Same thing here. Too much lactic acid, your body cannot take it anymore. You have to stop. And then the weird thing is, you stop and then you panting. Then the pain is gone. Why? Okay, here's the thing. I want to talk about the next part, which is when you repay the oxygen debt. Okay, after the activity, The person breathes rapidly, okay, like I said, you pant, okay, and deeply to inhale more oxygen to, okay, please highlight this, to pay off the oxygen debt. Okay, now you're paying all the IOUs, you're cancelling it because there's too much debt already. Your body cannot take so much debt anymore. Okay, ask your dad, ask your mom, all your families have debt, car debt, okay, housing debt, okay, all of us will have some debt, but you cannot have too much, okay, before the bank starts saying that, you know, something is wrong. So you need to repay them. So same goes to here. Okay, so the more fit you are, the richer you are, the more debt you can take. Okay, like football players, they can run 90 minutes without accumulating too much of lactic acid. They still do. Okay, that's why football players, they play like one match every week. If you play like 2-3 matches, like you have, if you watch football, you have EPL, you have Champions League and all. If you run too much, you are gonna accumulate this lactic acid. If you keep pushing yourself, and if you are the easy to injure type, okay, there you go, you're gonna tear your muscle, you are gonna be out for a few weeks. If that's lucky. If you tear your joint, you does something to your knee, okay, you broke a ligament, congratulations, you're out for 1 year. Okay, and your fans will hate the shit out of you because they're wasting money. The company still pays your salary. You're just sitting there, oh, I'm injured, I can't play. Okay, that sucks. Okay, so that's why you're repaying this oxygen debt. Okay, so if you go to the gym, you feel sore the next day because your body has too much of lactic acid. You are not good in dealing with that lactic acid because you're not fit. Like me, I run, I don't get pain in my abdomens. Okay, I go to the gym, yes, I might get some sore muscle. I don't get that sore because I go to the gym like 4 times, 5 times per week. Okay, I'm considered a generally fit. Okay, because I love exercising. Hey, you should too. Okay, it's the best investment you can do to your body. Okay, if not, you will die at a very young age. Okay, so exercise is very important. Okay, so when you repay the oxygen debt, what happens? This oxygen is used to fully oxidize this lactic acid to become carbon dioxide, water, and energy, which is the same as aerobic. So anaerobic creates lactic acid. Aerobic will turn everything into our usual waste product. Okay, all this they do no harm. Lactic acid will cause pain to you. Okay, so some lactic acid, if there's too much, I convert some of it back to glucose and then to glycogen, which is stored in the muscle cell. Okay, I hope you are clear in this. Okay, so basically this part is to some sort like a emergency source of energy. It's like when your house runs out of electricity, some of you in your house, you might have some small lights going on. It has some small reserve batteries. That is anaerobic. Okay, it's not very bright. That light is, you know, enough for you to do stuff lah. It's not very bright. Okay, but just sufficient. Same case goes to here. Of course, now nothing beats full electricity. Nothing beats full energy like aerobic. But the anaerobic is there to save you. Okay, if you are running out of energy, you need to run. Alright, so I hope you understand. Okay, lactic acid, very important stuff here. Okay, so now let's look at bacteria or yeast, or what is lactobacillus. Okay, this is in your Yakult or yogurt or whatever. Okay, oh sorry, this they will also do lactic acid. Okay, lactobacillus. Okay, it depends on the individuals. Okay, it depends on the species. Okay, so they also do lactic acid. Okay, so we use this to ferment milk or produce yogurt. When you eat yogurt, it is supposed to taste sour. That is the lactic acid you're eating. Okay, you're not going to die lah, of course. Okay, you're not putting it into your muscle, you're just putting it into your stomach. Okay, that's why it's supposed to taste sour. You may say, sir, yogurt tastes sweet lah. That is because they add sugar. If you really want healthy, please don't buy yogurt with, you know what, blueberry flavor or whatever flavor you name it. Buy the real yogurt. The real unadulterated. Nothing. We look at the ingredient, there's only milk and yogurt. It's gonna taste sour as shit. Trust me. So how? Eat it with fruits. Okay? Eat it with fruits. Rather than having the blueberries one. Do you think they add real blueberries inside? No. They just add fake blueberries and sugar. Main thing is sugar. Worst case, they will add high fructose corn syrup, which makes you fat. Ultra super fat. So don't eat that. Okay? If you are familiar with Indian food like I do, I love Indian food, you have something called lassi. You go to any Indian store, you ask for lassi. Lassi is Indian yogurt, okay, which is the same thing, okay? So lassi without sugar, it tastes sour, okay? Not mango lassi. Mango lassi, they have sugar. You ask for pure lassi, that is pure lactic acid. It's gonna taste sour. I don't like it, okay? I don't like sour, okay? That's why I eat it with fruits, okay? Sometimes I add a little bit of sugar lah, okay? So lactic acid. So the lactose converts it to lactic acid, okay? Coagulates casein, okay? Curd into yogurt, okay? This is not so important. Okay, reduces pH, gives a sour taste. Yogurt is supposed to taste sour. Yogurt is purposely fermented milk. It's bad milk, okay? You might say, hey sir, I just take my milk, I just let it spoil. No, you are going to die. Please don't eat that. Just eat normal yogurt, because they choose the good bacteria to, you know, ferment this thing. That's why you see yogurt and Yakult, they have lactobacillus. It's supposedly good for your stomach, good for digestion. Okay, so anyway, let's look at alcohol. Okay, let's look at alcohol. Okay, for yeast, they don't create lactic acid, they create something called alcohol. Okay, I love alcohol. Okay, who doesn't? Okay, so they have something called zymase, okay, which is a type of enzyme. They will convert it to ethanol. Okay, ethanol. Okay, ethanol is the alcohol we drink. Okay, please don't drink methanol. Methanol is wood alcohol. That is what found in your printer ink. That's how you're going to die. Okay, so drink ethanol. Okay, they use this to make bread. Okay, do you know bread has alcohol? You might say, huh, God ah. You don't taste it because it basically evaporates. Okay, it's evaporated away. Okay, so when we make bread, we are not after the alcohol, we are after the carbon dioxide, because it is this gas that makes the dough rise. Okay, the dough is like a sponge. So if you have gas, this thing is gonna rise. Okay, the more yeast you put, the more it rises, the more fluffy it tastes. Okay, that's why bread tastes very fluffy, because there's a lot of carbon dioxide inside. Okay, so it makes the dough to rise. Okay, ethanol produced is evaporated. Okay, that's why you don't get alcohol inside. Okay, besides, there's a bread in Italy, it's called panettone. I love that thing. So expensive in Malaysia. One slice, okay, you buy one loaf of bread, it's like what, $3-4 in Malaysia. Panettone, one slice is 15. One slice, not one loaf, one slice is 15, because inside the bread there's alcohol. It's called panettone. You should try it out. It's, oh my god, it's like bread from heaven. Okay, so it's super good because it has alcohol inside. They put a lot of alcohol inside. Okay, with fruits and all. It's so good. Yeah, let's I digress. Let's talk other thing else. Okay, so for wine and beer, we use this to produce ethanol. Okay, used in wine production. Okay, so for beer, okay, how do you make yeast? Because this is anaerobic respiration, we cannot allow any oxygen. That's why they ferment this in barrels. Okay, they aged it. Okay, so they will just cover the barrels to not allow any oxygen inside, so that the yeast inside can do anaerobic respiration. And yeast, they don't like hot temperature. That's why most winery or brewery, they are underground. They store the beer or wine underground. Okay, because they need to keep it at around 16-20 degrees, so that the wine can, the yeast can thrive. Okay, so that they can produce very good wine. So each brewery and winery, they have their own ways of brewing their recipe. That's why every wine tastes different. Okay, so white wine is made with white grapes, and of course red wine is made with the normal purple grapes lah. Okay, so different grapes, they create different flavor. Okay, if you like wine, okay, like I do, I like wine and I like whiskey. Okay, so each of them has their own recipe that makes them taste different. Even beer is as well. So I don't know whether you drink beer. Okay, I hope you don't. Okay, you're not of come to age yet, but yeah. Anyway, so Carlsberg and Tiger or Heineken or whatever, they all have their distinctive taste because they're using different carbohydrate to make their beer. Okay, beer is made from malt. Okay, malt. You know malt? You use this to make Cocoa Crunch. Okay, malt. Okay, malt has carbohydrate. You take malt, you put yeast, you cover. Okay, the yeast is gonna turn the carbohydrate. Okay, anything that has glucose, you can make beer. Okay, rice has glucose. That's why you can make rice wine. Malt, you can make malt wine, which is beer. Okay, so grapes has. That's why you can make wine. Okay, even coconut you can do so. Okay, you can make toddy. Okay, so there you go. Okay, even like what, sugar cane, you can make wine. Okay, Anything that has glucose, you can make wine. Okay, as long as it can ferment and creates alcohol. All right. So let's finish this. So in plants, okay, you submerge poly plants submerge for. Oh, sorry. Some plants like paddy plants can carry out temporary alcohol fermentation. Okay, when the paddy plants are submerged in water, so in the water, okay, they are submerged in water. There's no oxygen, so the root cells of paddy plant undergoes alcohol fermentation by breaking down glucose into alcohol. Okay, so okay, so you have the paddy plants, they produce something called alcohol dehydrogenase that breaks down the ethanol. That's why you don't get beer, you don't get wine in your rice. Okay, this thing you create as well, you produce in your body as well. Okay, Asians, we don't produce that much. That's why Asians get drunk very easily. For the mat sallehs, okay, the guailos, they can drink a lot because their body produces a lot of alcohol dehydrogenase. Okay, this is genetic stuff, don't blame me. Okay, if you get drunk very easily, okay, I have a friend who drinks a cup or just a small cup of beer, sweet beer, weak ass beer, he will get red flushes everywhere because his body doesn't produce this. Okay, genetic, like I said. Okay, so comparison between respiration and fermentation, I'll leave it up to you to read. Okay, so common sense stuff lah. Okay, so this is very important. Okay, so got oxygen, no oxygen. This is in cytoplasm and mitochondria. This is only in cytoplasm. Okay, end product is CO2, water, and energy. This is lactic acid or alcohol. 38 ATP, 2 ATP. Okay, almost 3000 energy, 150 and 210. Okay, complete, incomplete oxidation. Okay, equation, produce water, does not produce water. So many differences. Okay, so there you go. We finished this chapter. All right, so let's look at some exercise. Okay, so yeah, we were until here. Okay, the graph in the following shows the change in concentration of lactic acid in the blood of long distance runner and non-athlete. Okay, non-athlete means us. Okay, so can you see? Okay, who is the distance runner? Okay, can you see lactic acid? Who creates more lactic acid? Obviously us. Okay, for runners they don't create that much because their lungs are very strong. So who is a long distance runner? Obviously B. Okay, explain your answer. Okay, so B creates less lactic acid than A. Okay, why? Because B undergoes less anaerobic respiration than A. Okay, you might even you can explain further. Okay, due to stronger lungs providing more oxygen. Okay, so how strong your lung is, they measure it using something called VO2 max. Okay, how strong your heart is. Okay, you can go to test this in hospital. They'll ask you to run on a treadmill, then they put a mask on you. Okay, so to see how much CO2 you're producing in how long of a period. Okay, so F, a runner has just completed 800-meter run and is experiencing muscle fatigue. Okay, fatigue means tired. Explain why the runner needs to take the following steps to restore his condition. Wear sports shirt and pants. Okay, so why do you wear sports shirts and pants? Okay, to keep body warm. Okay, if you keep your body warm, you can maintain this optimal condition so that respiration can happen. Okay, if you after you run, you sweat. If you don't immediately wear your shirt and pants, you get cold, you can get cramp. Okay, to keep body warm. Okay, for you can even say aerobic respiration. Okay, take long deep breaths repeatedly. Why? To repay the oxygen debt. Okay, to convert, you can even further say lah. Okay, convert lactic acid. Okay, to your CO2, water, energy. Okay, this is 1 mark. I don't need to explain that long. Okay, to walk around. Okay, to cool down the body. Okay, so you need to warm up and you need to cool down. That's why you walk around. You don't stop immediately. Okay, so G, runner A is a smoker. Explain the effect of his habit on his performance. Okay, so smoke, okay, reduces capacity of oxygen in lungs or blood. Okay, so what happens when you have less oxygen? Okay, less aerobic respiration. Okay, so less aerobic respiration. Okay, lower athletic performance. Okay, so if you're a professional footballer, you're caught smoking, the club can fine you. Okay, like Wayne Rooney was fined for caught smoking in a pub. Okay, how much is the fine? I think it was 200,000 to 300,000 per week. Basically, it's weekly salary lah. Okay, because you are endangering your health. The company puts so much money on you. Okay, and then you choose to spoil your health like that. You need to repay the debt. Okay, so diagram 1 shows the breathing rate of athlete before, during, and after exercise. Okay, so this is the breathing rate. Can you see when I exercise, I increase, and then at the end, I slow down. Okay, respiration is shown by this. Name X and Y. So X is oxygen. Okay, Y is carbon dioxide. Okay, state 2 ways in which energy is used by the athlete. So, state 2 ways in which the energy is used by the athlete. So, how did the athlete use the energy? Okay, for contraction of muscles. I think this is what they're asking for. Energy is used by the athlete. Okay, so the question is not very clear what they want. Okay, number 3, why does breathing rate increase at the start of the race? Yes, okay, to break down more glucose to obtain more energy. Okay, because the muscle is using a lot of energy, that's why you need to burn. It's like fuel, like you're burning more fuel. When you step on the gas, your car is burning more fuel. Okay, so B, towards the end of the race, another kind of respiration is carried out. This is shown. So explain why this type of respiration is required. Okay, to provide an emergency source of energy. Okay, explain why less energy is released. Okay, because glucose is not fully oxidized. Okay, it's not fully broken out. That's why some energy is still stored inside. Excuse me. All right, C. 1. What is the breathing rate of the athlete 2 minutes after the race ended? 2 minutes after it ended, so he stops at 11. So what happened? What is at 13? So 13 is around 20 breaths per minute. Okay, 20 breaths per minute. Okay, remember the unit. Why is this rate different from the rate before the race? So before the race is 11, 12. Why is it breathing heavier? Okay, to obtain more oxygen, to repay oxygen debt. I need to repay the oxygen debt, so I breathe in more. Okay, D. After the race has ended, what happens to the lactic acid? Okay, you can say oxidizes into carbon dioxide, water, and energy. Okay, or you can say converted back into glucose. Okay, 2 ways of doing it. Okay, state 2 differences between biochemical reaction that takes place in muscle cell and yeast cell. Okay, so muscle cell creates lactic acid, yeast creates alcohol. Okay, muscle cell creates 150 kilojoule, yeast creates 210 kilojoule. Okay, so many. Okay, so many. This is among two of them. Okay, studies have shown that intake of sodium bicarbonate or baking powder can increase muscle efficiency that involves muscle fermentation. Give your justification. Sodium bicarbonate. I know sodium because sodium prevents cramping. Involves muscle fermentation, which is anaerobic respiration. Okay, you can say sodium ion, okay, prevents muscle cramping. Okay, 2 marks here. This is something like a K-bar question. Okay, sodium bicarbonate, if you want to know the formula, is NaHCO3. Okay, so basically baking powder. I can only think of prevent muscle cramping. Okay, so you can refer to your answer. Okay, not a very common question actually. Okay, a very key but-ish question. Okay, diagram 1.1 shows two situations J and K. Identify the type of respiration for J and K. So J, obviously he's running, so this is anaerobic. Okay, K is resting, so it's aerobic. Okay, write the word equation for the type of respiration occurs in J and K. So simple. For J is glucose. Okay, so no oxygen, it becomes lactic acid. Okay, and CO2. For K, glucose plus oxygen. Okay, you get water, CO2, energy. Okay, please make sure you write it in words, not in short forms. Okay, I'm just letting you know. Okay, give two differences between. So what's the differences between aerobic and anaerobic? Okay, this one without oxygen. This is with oxygen. Okay, this occurs only in cytoplasm. Okay, this is in cytoplasm and mitochondria. There's so many. We mentioned like what, 8 or 9 just now. Okay, in the middle of long distance run, the man in situation experience muscle fatigue has to stop running. Why is this muscle fatigue occurs? Okay, so you can say too much oxygen debt. Okay, so too much lactic acid in muscle. Okay, so it causes cramps or fatigue. Okay, state the advantage of athlete who has to undergo process J. So what's the advantage of anaerobic? Okay, it provides quick source of energy. Okay, quick source of energy, you can say or you can even say emergency source of energy. Okay, either case would do. Okay, number 2, state the disadvantages for an athlete who has to undergo this process. Okay, so you can create lactic acid, okay, which will cause muscle fatigue, okay, cramps, or even injuries. Okay, so D, athlete often trains at high altitude for several weeks before competing in sporting events at sea level. Explain how the training could improve your performance. Oh, that is a very good question. Okay, at high altitude, there's very little oxygen. When you go up there, okay, this is what we call altitude sickness. If you go too high at one moment, you don't breathe normally because there's lack of oxygen and then you can't breathe normally. So you go there, you stay for a few weeks, your body get used to it by producing more red blood cell. So when you go to sea level, wow, there's plenty of oxygen for you, you can run even faster. Okay, so you can say high altitude has lower concentration of oxygen in air. So body of athlete, okay, athlete okay, creates more red blood cell. Okay, so at sea level, okay, the excess red blood cell is able to carry more oxygen. Okay, so or you can even say more aerobic respiration. Okay, so there you go. Okay, so E, Alaska Man Extreme Triathlon is one of the hardest triathlon in the world. Okay, what is triathlon? Basically means you run, and then you swim, and then you cycle. So 3 activities you need to do. And this thing is like for what? 3-4 hours. You need to keep doing. Okay, crazy fitness there. Okay, Ideal intends to compete in the triathlon and has to undergo endurance training. After 10 weeks of training, the number of organelle P in its muscle cell increase. So before training, after training. So what is organelle P? What gives you the energy? Of course, mitochondria. Okay, relate how the increase in organelle P contributes to ID's performance. Okay, so more mitochondria. Okay, more mitochondria, more energy. It's not more aerobic respiration. So more respiration. So more energy generated. So you can run more. Okay, run longer. Okay, so diagram here shows graph of oxygen deficit. The graph we are looking at just now. So this is deficit. Okay, this is what we hutang. Later we are repaying this back. Okay, so explain how deficit occurs immediately after exercise starts. Okay, so body undergoes anaerobic respiration. Okay, and then it will create what was that just now? Lactic acid. Okay, how is oxygen debt repaid? Breathing heavily and deeply after exercise. Okay, so explain. Okay, the extra oxygen is used to oxidize the lactic acid. Okay, so lactic acid, you can say it changes to glucose or oxidizes to CO2, water, and energy. Okay, 3 points. Okay, so B, in an experiment, the student is asked to run 400 meters, determine the percentage of carbon dioxide in the exhaled air. Okay, his exhaled air was taken 3 times, which are before running, right after finish. Okay, so before running, there's only 4%. Okay, he's only exhaling 4%, and then right after he finished, he exhaled 8% because he's creating more, he's doing more respiration. And then 30 minutes after, okay, return back to normal. Explain how the percentage return to normal 30 minutes after running. So how does it return back to normal? Okay, so you can say so when I stop running, okay, when I stop exercising, okay, muscle contracts less, okay, less energy required. Okay, so the rate of respiration of my mitochondria reduces, so less oxygen used, less CO2 produced. Okay, roughly like that. Okay, so I think I'm gonna stop here before this gets too long. Okay, next week maybe I'll finish this. Okay, we have plenty of time. Okay, we are ahead of schedule. Okay, so that's it for this week. Okay, apologies for making this video very long. Okay, we have already finished this chapter. Okay, so I hope you learned something today. I hope we'll get to see each other soon. I've been saying this for weeks. Okay, let's hope, right? Am I right? Okay, so I hope to see you again. I'll see you again next week. Stay safe and ciao.